Alright guys, so a little bit of an update. I went to the junkyard this weekend. I got a fan clutch, hoping that'll work so I don't have to do an electric fan. Just for sake of ease of install right now. I also got some power steering lines. I'll show you those. I got my fuel sending unit in today, my 3/8 one. And yeah, so I'll show you the power steering line first and then kind of get ready to install this fuel sending unit. So, got the alternator and the bracket installed, the power steering pump put on. So my initial idea was to take the stock sending unit out of my truck, which is a 5/16 line, which will be the return, which is what you need. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll drill a hole for the 3/8 inch tube, which will be my feed, and then I'll just solder and braze in a new tube, drill that little filter out a little bit, swap tubes, put the whole sending unit back together, it'll float, it'll be good enough, solder the tube, whatever. Well, let me tell you something, right? Bending steel tube with a hand bender sucks. I went through 7 foot of it, okay? This is all I got left. And you can see I even tried a torch. I tried the YouTube way of filling it with sand, aka I had sugar. Yeah. It didn't work out too well. I kept kinking lines. As you can see, look at that. Real exciting. So that sucked. I got so frustrated, I said, screw that, not doing it. And I also didn't like the look of having this tube and not having the sending unit. I know you'll never see it, blah, 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 but, you know, do it once. All right, back to the parts table. Besides my shaker, cup, and coffee, got some of the fuel parts. Oh, I went ahead and installed the fuel pump along the frame. I had to go to Summer Racing today to get some fittings. 220 amp alternator, spark plug wires. I actually busted these trying to put the valley pan in when I was going to. Transcool fittings. Oh, I got some aluminum tubing for the cooler lines, fuel setup. And this is what happened last time. I don't know if you can see it, but those were brand new. And that was brand new. So now I gotta pop these out. Replacements. I think I just forced them in there, to be honest. The way I'm gonna install these, I'm just gonna take a big old socket, put it on top of that sucker, tap it in, works for me, make sure it's level, then put it in the truck. I have these in, just like that, they're installed. I'm contemplating if I'm gonna throw maybe some grease or something right here. I really don't want these to rip again because they're like 10 bucks each at the store, and I got these on eBay for like 4 bucks for the pair. It took a week to get here, but I have the time to wait because I was waiting on our parts, and I don't want to do that again. So we went ahead, we got the valley cover on. Now there's not a specific sequence, but I kind of started at the back, jumped over, jumped over, jumped over, jumped over, went down, back, back. The torque specs for that is 18 foot-pounds, and then the knock sensor is going to be 15. Make sure you put grease on those grommets. Alright, knock sensor's installed, now I'm going to plug them up. And before we plug them up, I'm going to take some sealant. They say to put some sealant around these grommet boots. That way no more water or anything like that gets down inside there. So I'm going to do that first. Valley cover on. Just mocking up the intake. Yeah, looks good. The return line on my power steering. I got the wrong pressure line, so I have to go get a new one of those. But valley cover on, just mocking up the intake. Yeah, looks good. The return line on my power steering. I got the wrong pressure line, so for my pressure line, that's gonna wrap around to my pump, and this will go across my frame rail to, I'll show you, right there to my pressure line of my pump, right there. Now what initially it came on with is one of the O-ring style fittings, which is good for the pump, but my power steering box is the old school inverted flare ones. So what I did was I used a grinder and cut just the very end of it off so I can flare this, and then I ordered an adapter to turn that into from metric to 6AN, and then I have a 6AN nut that is over here. So I have here one of these tube nuts that I'm going to flare on there, and boom, I'm going to screw it in the 6AN. So that'll work. And then for my return line, I'll have to see if there's a part number on it. Yeah. This one works really good. Let's see if I get the focus. 70551. Fits right into the metric. And then right on there, plenty of hose. So it's getting dark, but pretty much everything but I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do for my power steering pressure line. So this is a 70 gearbox. And it's an LS. I cut the tube down here with a pipe cutter and a grinder. And I'm just gonna do an inverted flare down here, since that's what this type of style pump calls for. I mean, gearbox calls for. So I'm gonna go get a fitting like this. That's meant for inverted flare, so I want to have that lip. Yeah, so that way I have that, and then I can flare that, put that in, put my power steering line up, wait on the throttle body to get here. Then I was working on my linkage, which I think I figured out, and then I can put the front clip back on. And then it's just around the fuel lines and cooling. That's it. So, which I have my pump and all that stuff installed. Just got to do the lines, which are PTFE. I just couldn't do it until I got that up there. Picked up this guy. Okay, what this is a bulkhead fitting from Summit. If it focus, I'll show you guys the part number. Right there. 220637B. And what this is going to be on mine. That way I don't have to drill and deal with any of that, or braze or solder, none of that stuff. I'm going to drill a hole in my gas tank, and I bought some nylon washers. And I'm going to drill a hole. It's 6 AN on both sides. And I'm going to put this in my gas tank, obviously bolt it in between, like put the gas tank metal in between the nuts, seal it up real good, and then put it in like that. And then I bought some 6 AN nuts, and I'm going to flare 3/8 inch tube, and I'm just going to bend it down into the tank as a return line, because I just didn't want to do this because a lot of people say if you just leave this, you'll hear it splashing, and then also it could build pressure. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Alright, got the gas tank out of the truck. Now I'm just rinsing it out, cleaning it out, make sure it dries up real good, and then I'm going to figure out where I'm going to drill a hole for my bulkhead and then get that all figured out. Alright, I decided to drill my hole right there. That works. It's a 9/16. Fits right in. I measured from the bottom of the tank to the fitting. It's about 11, so I cut a piece of 10 inch because I want to go straight to the bottom. So now I'm going to flare this, put on one of these tube nuts, and then hopefully install it, and then that'll be done. Just like that, got it flared, got the tube nut sleeve on there. Can you see that? Tube nut. Alright, and just like that, it's installed. You can't really see it down in there, but she's running right down in there. So it was pretty pain in the ass to tighten, I'm not gonna lie, but got it, letting it drain. Now let's go see what else we can do. So finally, I got the right 3/8 center unit hooked up. So that's bolted in along my return line, round up, and then I can start making my feed lines. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. So see you next time.